Okay, I am back, and we're going to take another run at the watercolor technique. So, I picked out lighter colors this time, hopefully, and I'm going to shake them up and put them in a cup. I used pink sherbet this time, or I went with, and cloudy blue. And for my third color, I'm going with Cool Perry. So, those are my three colors. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started again. I'll just do it over again. I'm not loving the way this spray paint dried in the cold. It doesn't have the smoothest finish in the world. And that'll slightly affect the way the alcohol ink moves, but it's not that big a deal. As long as it still moves on the surface, it'll be fine. I'm going to work this one top to bottom and in slightly bigger sections, I think. But that's two of the three colors, just to see. And this will be color 3. So definitely much lighter this time. And it might just be the top where the paint crackled in the cold a little bit. So that'll be fine. It seems to be flowing better down here. I am having fun with this challenge, but I will admit the worst part for me is trying to decide on decals for any of these. I normally go into a cup with the end result in mind, and I'm kind of winging it here. So it's been a challenge for sure. But I think I'm okay. I think I'll get through it. So, hopefully. And then even when I come up with an idea, I end up changing my mind, so. I don't know if you can hear my cricket in the background, but it's cutting the decals for 2 other cups, so. Sorry if it's annoying. I do like these colors. They're definitely much, much paler. I think they look a little brighter on camera than they truly are. But just brush them on. Just trying not to overlap too much or get myself in a jam where I won't be able to get the 3rd color in. And I may come back over just a little bit in a couple of spots to get that more textured, dimensional feel to the inks. Especially up here where it was rougher to begin with. I'm gonna go with some pink right here. And the bottom of the cup has that little bit of roughness to it also. And don't forget to flip it over and continue to the bottom if you are one that completes your bottoms. Some people choose not to. I've always preferred to carry through the bottom. I don't put a personal label on my tumblers. I oftentimes do a coordinating decal, not always, but I like to have that option available. Again, I'm going to layer in some of this and just let the ink spread. Okay, I'm going to go back to the pinky color. Okay, so I feel like that's going to be a lot of blue, but I might just run a quick strip of the Perry first. There. And then I'll finish it off in the blue. So I'm just going to go back in and add a little bit in those spots where I think I might need a little bit of dimension. Double check the bottom as well, because I like where it works its way around and leaves the little darker and lighter spots when you just put it on and let it spread and do its own thing. And the last one I'm going to do that with is the Perry again. You don't want it wet enough to run, so you don't want drips all over your cup, but enough that it can spread a little bit. Okay, so I am not going to do just 1 cup of alcohol. I'm actually just going to put a couple drops in each of these cups that I used, just to thin out any remaining color, because I'm probably actually not going to do that much blending this time. So I'm just going to get a little tissue to blot. I'm just going to pick a couple of spots to go over. So I think that's all I'm going to blend on the pink. Blend out a little bit of this cloudy blue greenish color. Soften up some of the lines a little bit, especially in these spots where it was a little dry or cracked. And a little bit of the Perry. And this one I do think I'm going to come in with some of the foil. I think maybe silver would look cute on this one. So I will let this sit for a bit and I'll come back in and do that. Okay, so that's it for the base. And I'm going to let this sit for a bit and then I'll come back and do the foil. Okay, I am going to real quick do a little silver leaf on a couple spots on here. I'm going to use tack it over and over to apply it. Hopefully that'll work out. I've got a little brush if I need to poke it down at all. I've got a little brush for the tack it. I'm going to use this for my leafing. And I have a set of tweezers for that. So, I'm just going to pick a couple of little spots, I guess. To run the tacket along. I don't want to use a ton, but I want to use enough to have some impact, so. And hopefully the tacket will work to hold it down. I'm just going to start by layering pieces over, and then I'm going to brush them off. I want to make sure I get all of the area I applied the tacket to. It is pretty easy to make a mess with these flakes. Pretty easy to gild your own hands along with your project. So I'm going to take the brush that I grabbed out and I'm just going to rub the brush over it, and that'll get off any excess bits of flakes, and it'll stick it to any places I missed with the tacket, or with applying the leaves to the tacket. And you can come back in with some more if you feel like you need more. These are torn up compressed sheets. There's like spots where it's huge amounts of sheets together, so they can be somewhat difficult to work with. They're easier to work with by mixing into resin, but I don't want the whole thing foiled, so. So that's enough for that little spot. I'm not going to do a ton. I'm just going to do, like I said, a little bit. Here and there. I don't usually like to touch these with my fingers because I don't want to risk transferring oils to the cup. I do want to peel a few of those sheets free. A little bit more there. And you can do this with sheets if you have sheets. I don't have silver sheets, I only have gold. And I just got some copper and pink in a kit, and I think some black. But I don't want those for this. I wanted silver. Thought it would be softer on this softer kit, or softer cup. And I think I'm gonna do maybe one more somewhere in here, and then I think I'm gonna call it good. I don't know. I'll look it over in a second. I might do a tiny bit in the center on the bottom as well. Just like the smallest amount. Just don't want the bottom to get lumpy and not be able to sit properly. Okay. So, same thing. Make sure you fill it all in. And don't forget where you did the bottom. Just looking around it to see if I feel like I need a little bit more. I feel like I need a little more up there. just over that little crest there. See, I'm gilding myself. Pat it down. Let me come in with a tiny bit more there. All right, I think that's plenty. I'm gonna give this a couple minutes to dry and sit, and then I will come in and do the epoxy layer. And I'll come back for that. Okay, it is time to get a coat on this one. I'm not going to put any cheek glitters or anything in here. I'm just going to do this one as is. Some of this silver, where it's a little looser, may migrate. I'm not going to worry about that a whole lot. If it does, it does. And this is on level. I will fix that when I move it to its spot to turn. This resin is getting extremely hot on me, so hopefully I can at least get this cup done and not lose too much of it. I don't want to dip my hand in the cup because now I have some of that silver, and I do want to try and get the very last cup done with the rest of this. So this coat can be fairly thin. This is just the coat that the decal is going to sit on when I figure out what this one's getting. But I'm just going to stretch it fairly thin. You can see some of that silver's moving. I'm okay with that. That's why I didn't use any glitter. Figured if the silver moved, it would give it a little sparkle here and there. But that's it, just a fairly thin coat. So because this did get a little hot, I am going to hit it with the heat gun a little bit just to smooth it out. Get any bubbles. And if I find it's too rough from the flake, the foil, I will throw in another quick clear coat when I get to the next batch of clear coats before I do the decal. I just don't want to end up building it too thick. I'd rather build thinner layers. So that is it for this one. I'll be back to show you the next step. So I do already have resin on my hand because I've done a couple of other coats on other cups already, but I just don't want to waste a glove since they're all just clear coats. I just went with a very simple Faith with a little flourish in a rose gold metallic vinyl for this one, just to keep it simple. So I'm just going to go ahead and get a clear coat. Don't forget about the bottom of your cup. Okay. That's plenty. I will just get it smoothed on here. And this will probably get one more coat after this, but I'm not going to bother showing you that because it's just going to be exactly the same thing. It feels pretty smooth, even over where the silver was. So, but if I do have any pokey bits, I will sand them down quick before I put that last coat on. But I think after this coat spins, it should level out and it shouldn't have any rough bits. So that'll be it for the pastel watercolor. So I'm just going to let it spin. I will hit it with some heat if necessary, but other than that, she's done. Okay, so here is the pastel watercolor. Looks pretty, super shiny. Bring you down in a little bit. Faith, just simple, basic. Nothing on the bottom. But there she is. Very pretty.